institutions?
Well, President Trump, there's a reason lots of people are worried about President Trump's meeting with President Putin. And a lot of the people worried about it are going to be in that G20 meeting room. President Trump is always making excuses for the bad behavior of Vladimir Putin. Where the optics of the protests outside, I think, come into play is that they're a huge gift to actual authoritarian societies. Vladimir Putin and President Erdogan of Turkey are going to argue that, you know, there's no such thing as freedom and peaceful dissent in the West. There are only mob scenes like this, and this is why we need to crack down. So I actually think it's pretty unhelpful that there are the kinds of protests that there are. It doesn't help in making the argument that Chancellor Merkel wants to make about freedom, about free trade, about the importance of prosperity for all of our societies.
And we're running out of time, but Ambassador, I want to get one more question to you. It might make it easier for him to negotiate, to get on the side of more authoritarian or more, you know, strongmen leaders like President Erdogan, like Vladimir Putin. But what about the European leaders that have traditionally been our allies? How hard will it be for the U.S. to negotiate with them when we're going overseas and doubting something like our intelligence assessment?
Yeah, I don't agree that the protesters send a lack of freedom message. They're freely protesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But the real issue is leadership on the key issues. And if you look at the speech that President Trump gave in Poland, it was just bizarre, talking about whether the West will survive. Of course the West is going to survive, our institutions of freedom. And Donald Trump is undermining his own message by questioning the strength of our democracy. And what he needs to do is reaffirm the strength of our democracy, lead on these key issues, and start solving the problems. And we'll see if he does that in the meeting with Vladimir Putin tomorrow. That will be the first test of his presidential leadership, and we'll see how he does. I hope he does well.
Ambassador Soderberg, Corey Shockey, ladies, thank you very much for joining me. We are approaching the half-hour mark. We're at 2:28 here in New York City, and we're watching Hamburg, Germany, where you're seeing protests at the G20. It is 8:28 p.m. there. The protests started to flare up about an hour ago after a standoff. Again, we always see protests at G20. Some are more violent than others. Certainly, this is one of those protests. Keir Simmons has been in this melee for us now for the entire day, reporting firsthand on what he is seeing. Keir, it seems to be slightly calmer where you are now than it was just a couple moments ago.
We just had to move, Katie, because we wanted to give you a picture of a protester now on the ground, as you can see, who is being arrested and is face down on the ground, surrounded now by riot police. It's difficult to tell whether he is injured or is simply there because the police put him there, but he is just one, and you can see that the paramedics now are racing off to ask for help. So it does look as if someone there has been injured. We have seen a number of people carried off on stretchers. Let me just give you a wider picture, Katie, of what we are seeing here. There is a line of riot police in that direction. You can see them behind me. And then if we move this way, there is another line of riot police in that direction. So we are right in the center of it. And protesters have been moving around trying to escape the riot police. Can you just tell me, why are you still here?
Well, I didn't even want to come here in the first place, but after seeing like the things that happened on last Sunday in the Werder Help camp, and now they cleaned up the camp without any legal basis, and I just wanted to like...
Let me ask you, what is the message you're trying to send with this protest?
Send a message that they should stop too much police violence and stop like pushing us around and hitting us with their weapons. And
right, but I mean, if you weren't here, there wouldn't be the police violence, though,
well,
right?
We didn't do anything violent in the first place. We just were watching the demonstration, which is supposed to be a demonstration.
Oh, you were watching it. You're a spectator, and you got caught up in it.
No, we were peaceful part of the demonstration.
Right.
And the police started their violent act against the whole demonstration and pushing everybody around and hurting a lot of people. We just saw someone who looked very, very, very white in his face on a like the ambulance took him away and he looked like he was literally about to die.
I can see you're shaking a little bit. Have you ever been in something like this before?
No, not at all.
How old are you?
19.
19 years old. All right. Keep safe, my friend, okay? All right, let me just take you in this direction, Katie, just for a second before I throw back to you, and if you want to ask us some questions. But just that way, as you can see now, the water cannon that we have been seeing firing sporadically is now positioned across the road there. Further back is the square where those demonstrators, the demonstrations that protester was talking about were taking place, including live music and kind of a peaceful atmosphere. But what did happen was that a group of clearly hardcore protesters moved this way. Actually, let me just move the camera again. Miguel, our cameraman, I think can lean over and give you a shot of another battle between police and protesters playing out in the street further down. While I just pause for a moment, Katie, if you want to ask any questions. But there you can see another confrontation between riot police here and protesters with protesters. It looks like throwing anything they can find.
And Kier, are you seeing any anti-Trump protesters
just because you're protesting doesn't mean you're not being peaceful. And it seems like the people were trying to be peaceful.
Yeah, there have been a number of protesters that I've seen
wearing
anti-Trump, wearing messages against President Trump, banners directed at President Trump. But it isn't only that. It's important to underscore that this is a wide protest. You heard that guy talking just now. Honestly, he didn't really seem to be clear about why he was here. Though it represents, I think, some of the protesters who are really young people, angry at the system, if you like, and taking out their frustrations. At the same time, there are anarchists here, there are anti-establishment protesters, and there are the kinds of groups that we have seen at many of these gatherings before, who use the opportunity of all of us media here to try to send a message against capitalism, against the establishment, all those things we've seen before.
What's the plan for nightfall? It's 8:30 there. You can see the sun is just starting to set. What is the police plan for when it is